dad was 6'8". Yeah, Deacon Chapman was huge. He could still, at that age of 18, could grab her by my butt.
Well, I would like to introduce to you the son of the founders of Dick and Carol Frick. This is Jeff Frick, and we're going to have just a little chat to learn about what it was like for Jeff to grow up in a family where they were mentoring, where your parents started the program. And so we're just going to kind of go back and forth and talk a little bit about Jeff's experiences. So, Jeff, start out and just tell us, what was it like to grow up in your home, and how did the program get started?
Well, kind of like Mom said, and I didn't get warning that Mom was going to be up there, so I'm still recovering a bit here. But it was my mom and dad and a neighbor down the road connected with Community Action Council, shared a vision that there was definitely a need for mentoring in single-parent homes in Dakota County. And they took the bull by the horn and started going from church to church. I remember Mom and Dad going within the Christian community, church to church, just kind of sharing the vision and the need, and the need for funding, of course. And it really took off from there. And I do remember the phone ringing off the hook on a regular basis at our house. That's where the office was. The phone line was in the basement, and a lot of fond memories of the kinship outings at our house. Maybe I'm stepping forward a little bit here.
Okay.
But as a kid, now keep in mind I'm dating myself, I was about 9 years old when everything started coming into fruition with kids in kinship. A lot of the fond memories are the kinship events that were at our house. So we would have upwards of 200, 300 people coming in and out of the house. We had the summer outing where we were out on the lake right over here on Crystal Lake, great place to grow up as a kid, by the way. And we would have a lot of the neighbors coming over, bringing their boats out on the docks. We had our boats. We probably had 10 to 15 boats coming and going, giving kids rides around. We had a bumper pool table in the basement that was constantly busy, and a hot dog roast, and it was something that I really looked forward to as a kid. And then the winter outing, same deal. We'd have a few snowmobiles, went from door to door, and the word got around, hey, Dick and Carol are having all the kids at the house. We need more snowmobiles. They came over, and we were given snowmobile rides around the lake. I cleaned off the rink for some broom ball out there, and I felt like I was a big shot, you know. So it was pretty fun.
So, as growing up in that environment, your parents, along with you and your siblings, invited other children to be a part of that experience. What was that like to have another child in your life and sharing your parents that way?
Yeah, it obviously being the youngest boy, probably the most spoiled one in the family, it took a little bit of adjustment to bring a young man into our home. Scott was my pseudo brother, I'll call him that. So I had two older sisters. Mom and Dad thought, well, our first kid, let's bring in somebody that's Jeff's age, see how that works. Again, it took a little bit of adjustment for me, and we have become extremely close friends over the years. As a matter of fact, he asked me to be the best man in his wedding, out at Mom and Dad's house. And kind of a fun short story, Justice of the Peace forgot to show up. So they asked me to fill in for that too. So I'm going back and forth, asking them back and forth. So it was a lot of fun, and we still maintain a real strong friendship. And Scott would have loved to have been here tonight, but he's going through some different challenges in life right now. But again, it was a wonderful experience, and still is.
Jeff, tell us a little bit about what kind of lessons that you learned from being involved in a family that was doing mentoring.
I'd say primarily is to be flexible. Obviously, you know, Scott came from some difficulty, and for me to try to understand that, my mom and dad would be kind enough to sit down and say, Jeff, obviously this is not what you're used to, but Scott is going through some difficult things in life, and my mom and dad are just loving people. I mean, that was it. They said anybody can come to our house. There's people at our house all the time. So they basically told me, you know, Jeff, we just really need, as a family, to invest in Scott's life. Back in the day, you know, he could spend more time with us, but really helping him to understand that he's accepted, he's wanted, we want him to be with us. we included him in everything. As we go on fishing trips, we go camping, we spend a lot of time just out at the lake hanging out. Sometimes just doing work around the yard. My dad was trying to teach both of us a good work ethic, and we would mow the lawn and just those type of things. So we just incorporated him into our life, our everyday things that we did.
And what wonderful values that your folks instilled in you, and just that role modeling that they did to you, and what an impact it's had not only on your life, but on the mentees. And now, Jeff, you and your wife Diane and your family have carried on this tradition of mentoring. So talk a little bit about that. How did you get started in that? What motivated you to want to mentor?
Well, again, my parents set the bar pretty high, and we just knew it was something that I wanted to do. It was modeled very well for me, and I wanted to give back because it was such an impactful thing on Scott's life. I just wanted to pass that on to, when I got married and had a family, we got 6 kids, and we said, what better way to indoctrinate a kid to some craziness by bringing him into our house. So along came Aaron, whose mother is with us tonight, and we were able to just bring him in the same type of thing that we did growing up, just hanging out, doing things, going swimming, going to the lake, talking about hard things in life and what life looks like, and how when we invest into people's lives, we tell Aaron that's what you should be doing with others, just helping them understand that they're wanted, they're accepted, and just love on people.
And you didn't stop with Aaron. You've continued on your mentoring. Talk about why you chose that and what your next experience was.
Yeah, so Aaron got fairly close with my 2 boys, another brother added to the family, so to speak, and he has since been deployed to South Korea, and we were able to spend quite a bit of time with him before he left. And we have since then, because he's quote-unquote aged out, we brought in Keyshawn into our family, and we spent quite a bit of time with him. I think we've been mentoring Keyshawn since he was 6 or 7. Still, we actually saw him today for the first time in a little while. Once they get a little bit older, they find friends and they stay busy quite a bit most summer long. But we're able to spend some time there. And the same type of thing, we have discussions, seeing how's Keyshawn doing, anything in life that we really need to talk about. Sometimes it's hard to talk about things, but if we get him to open up, we're able to kind of see where things are at. And it's been a good experience. We actually had his older brother join us for a little while until he decided he wanted to age out, but it's kind of been the same type of mentoring relationship.
Do you see any parallels between your experience growing up in a mentoring family and your experience now as a family that's mentoring?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, so a lot of the things that my parents taught me, I find myself doing a lot of the same things and involving our mentees with our family the same way that Mom and Dad did when they brought in kids to their household.
What would you say are some impacts that you've seen on the mentees?
I think the mentees find acceptance. They just know that it's a safe place where they can come, be themselves, hang out. We don't have to do deep dives into deep things every time they come. Obviously, having fun, Kids in Kinship has a lot of wonderful opportunities to provide good things for kids to get involved in. But what we've seen mostly is sometimes it takes a little while, but once they get to that point of being comfortable, they just like coming and hanging out. We can just hang out at the house, play games. It doesn't have to be anything too involved. So those are some of the main things.
How about some final words? How might you encourage someone else to mentor?
Well, like Nike says, just do it.
I like that.
I would say, try it, you'll like it. You've probably heard that before too. You won't know until you try, but obviously if you can make an impact in the life of a child, I think that's the direction we should all be going.
Well, Jeff, it's just such a rich story and just such a privilege to have you here and just kind of carrying the torch from what your parents started. And we appreciate so much that Dick and Carol started this program, and we're at about 3,500 kids that have been blessed over the years, over these 50 years, by by having a mentor, but also just such deep respect for you, 20 years of your family mentoring other youth and carrying that on. So thank you for being a part of our night. Thank you for being a part of Kinship, and we really appreciate it.
Well, it's been my honor, and again, kudos to all those involved in Kids in Kinship. Obviously, Mom and Dad kind of got the ball rolling, but it wouldn't have continued as it was without volunteers and people coming alongside of them to make it happen. So thank you to everyone that's involved as well.